we want to get a big group shot of all the candidates. So all the candidates will be right here, and as soon as I'm done, we'll do that. Then I'm going to just be a little visit, and I'm even going to get to play a little music with the Whiskey Jackets. I'm sure they'll turn down the mic when I'm up there playing until I'm done, but they don't have mics, so even better. But no, it's really great. We've had a spectacular day in the Valley. Just to kind of tell you why we're here, I am pushing a bill that's a bipartisan bill in the Senate to raise the tobacco age to 21 because of the youth smoking epidemic, the e-cigarette and vaping epidemic. And I went and talked to some really amazing young students, high school students in Harrisonburg, who, it's one thing for me to say we should have this school, but it's another thing, why do young people vape? Why is it so attractive to middle schoolers? What can we do that will convince them? And they just shared fantastic ideas. I then went and talked to a poli-sci class at James Madison after I met with the mayor of Harrisonburg and had a great lunch with Dina and some friends, including Brent here, who is a wonderful, wonderful legislative candidate. And then I went to a hemp farm in Rockingham to learn about hemp production. I was part of the Farm Bill delisting hemp and allowing it to be grown in the United States. It was funny to have a shirt made of hemp that you could make the shirt in the United States and you could wear the shirt in the United States. You just were not allowed to grow the hemp in the shirt in the United States. What sense did that make? But anyway, we did that and we just had a great day, but I've really been looking forward to this. Jennifer and I talked about it. My staff reached out here at the market. It's really cool to see all of you here. I have a couple of great staffers with me. I have Corinne Charles-Dungo, who's my state director and campaign manager. She's somewhere, I don't know where. I have Gentry Aiken, who's my executive assistant right here. And Katie Stuntz, who was my press secretary. I also have some amazing alums from the Kaine 2018 re-election. So you guys raise your hands if you worked on my race. And the great thing, so Alex and Lily, these guys worked hard on the race last year and then stayed right here so that their expertise wouldn't just walk away, but their expertise would continue to be used to help great people get elected, including great people in rural districts. Look, the rural battle for Dems is a challenging battle. I know that. I won a landslide win last year in my Senate race, but I got 31% of the vote in Rockingham. Now I got, what was it, 67 Harrisburg? But there are a lot of places. Jennifer and I did a bunch of campaign events together, and Jennifer ran a hell of a fantastic campaign last year. I'm so glad. But let me tell you first, keep doing what you're doing. When you worry about these seats and you see gerrymandered districts and you see races that sometimes aren't as close as we would like them to be, that's the way the entire Commonwealth of Virginia was in 2001 when I ran my first statewide race. I have been a local elected official for 8 years, a mayor and city councilman in Richmond. It was easy to run as a Democrat for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia because nobody wanted to do it. It was going to be a losing proposition. They let you get in, oh sure, you try it, that's fine. We're glad to make you our candidate. We have gone from 2001 to 2019, we have gone from one of the reddest states in this country. Every statewide elected was Republican. We hadn't gone red and blue in a presidential year since 1964. We've really been red since 1948 in presidential races. We, in the whole decade of the 90s, only one Democrat got more than 50% of the vote in a statewide race. People who looked at Virginia said, why bother? Republicans didn't come in presidential years. They didn't have to. Democrats, why bother? That was who Virginia was. And now, here's where we are in Virginia. Every statewide official is Democratic. Three presidential elections in a row, we have gone blue. During the entire decade of the 2000s, Democrats have won every single statewide race for governor, lieutenant governor, president, attorney general, or senator, every single one. So what I mean to tell you is while it can be tough in these rural districts, what you need to think about is, yeah, it was tough in Virginia too, but Virginia has undergone a tremendous change. Tremendous change. And if it can happen in Virginia statewide, it can happen in Rockingham, it can happen in Page, it can happen in in Buckingham, it can happen in Augusta, it can happen everywhere. But the first thing you have to do is A, put up good people, and you got a lot of good people here, and then B, once you put up good people, you got to support them. They're working as hard as they can. They knew it when they got in, but they really know it once they're in, working as hard as they can, that they can't do it alone. The success depends upon energetic people like you who are willing to come out and support them. And that's when you will start to win a bunch of races in the valley. And then neighbors who never would have had a Democratic sign will put up a Democratic, and you'll say, I didn't know you were a Democrat, well, I've been afraid to put up a sign. You will start to get momentum with some wins, and then people will start revealing that, hey, they've been on the team, and they want good candidates to support. Now, we've got a lot of good candidates here. I just want to say a thing about the states and a thing about their opponents collectively, the states. Last time, 2017, I was in that race. We did some events together. 2017, Democrats made huge gains. We went from way down, 2/3, 1/3 in the House to almost 50-50 on a coin flip. Lost it, would have been 50-50. So we're still in the minority in the House, but if you want to know what electing Democrats does, just think of what happened when we went from 32 to 49. We got Medicaid expansion. So 400,000 Virginians, many of whom have never had health insurance in their life, have health insurance. That's what happens when you elect Democrats. We got teacher salary raises at the state level for the first time in like 7 or 8 years. That's what happens when you elect Democrats. Here's one that not as many people know about, but I think is really, really important. Virginia had a bad law that said if you had unpaid court costs, you would lose your driver's license. Now talk about an idiotic law. You got to pay your court costs, and if you don't pay them, we're going to take your driver's license. Well, wait, how are you going to pay your court costs? Well, you should get a job. What does losing your driver's license do to your employability? It dramatically hurts it. So when you take somebody's court license away, you can pretty much guarantee they're never going to be able to pay their court costs, right? More than 600,000 Virginians have lost driver's licenses for this reason. With Democrats in the legislature, they put a bill on Governor Northam's desk. To his credit, he amended the bill. It dealt with driver's licenses, but he amended the bill to eliminate the penalty of losing your driver's license for court costs. The Democrats in the legislature then supported the amendment, and some Republicans did too. And just like that, 600,000 people, predominantly minorities, and all people who were poor, who had had a big shackles put on them in terms of their employability and life success, suddenly now can kind of get reintegrated back in the economy and do some things, and maybe even pay some court costs. That's what happens when you elect Democrats. So if you can get that without getting a majority, but getting close to a majority, what can you get if you get a Democratic Senate majority by picking up 2 net seats, or a Democratic House majority, 2 net seats, or hopefully both? Here's what you get. As long as either House is Republican, there is no way that Virginia will be the 38th state to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. If both houses are Democratic, I guarantee you we will be a state. So long as either house has Republican majority, you're going to have people making a run at rolling back Medicaid expansion, and rolling back the Affordable Care Act. That will be an every year effort by a Republican majority House to screw around with this thing, but with 2 Democratic Houses and a Democratic governor, we will be able to protect those gains and go forward. Here's another one. Governor Northam, after the horrible shooting of 11 municipal employees and a contractor who was just there to get his permit at the Virginia Beach City Hall, called the legislature back and said, look, whether it's a mass shooting in Virginia Beach or whether it's a little girl killed in Richmond at a Memorial Day picnic that was just a drive-by shooting, killed this 11-year-old girl, we've got to do something about this. And Governor Northam called the legislature back into a special session, and he put a package of reforms on the table that would have kept us safer. You don't have to accept those reforms. You can have other reforms. But what the Republicans did is they came back, he called it back in a special session, and they didn't put their own plan on the table. They didn't say, you're right, Governor, we agree. Gun violence is bad. We ought to do something about it. We don't like your ideas, but here's our ideas. No, they didn't do that. They came back in, and they immediately moved to adjourn. They looked Virginians in the face who have suffered by gun violence, and they said, here's what we have for you, nothing. Precisely nothing. We will not do anything for you. We will not respond to this. We will not offer comfort to any of the families who have been horribly victimized by gun violence, by homicides, by suicides, by kids finding a loaded weapon and accidentally discharging it and killing or wounding another child. They had nothing. They offered nothing because they don't care about it. And as long as either of the houses of our state legislature remain in Republican hands, that's what they're going to keep offering on one of the critical problems affecting not just Virginia, but every corner of the United States. So that's the stakes. You saw what we could do going from 32 to 49. If we can go 49 to 51, 19 to 21, health care, we can do transportation improvements. We can find the Equal Rights Amendment ratification. We can do better things on the environment. They're trying to roll back Governor Northam's ability to do things like greenhouse gas and climate change legislation. There's so much that can be done. One last thing I'll say, because it burns me about some of your opponents, and I'm just going to acknowledge this. I'm not going to talk about them by name. Any of you guys running against incumbents, in the House especially, you're going to be very familiar with what I have to say. For years, I've been, as a senator, been getting letters from your legislators here in West Virginia. Senator Kaine, when are you going to do something about funding improvements on Interstate 81? Federal government, you need to do this. Senator Kaine, you need to do this. This year, there was a bill about Interstate 81 that came to Governor Northam's desk, and it called for a study. Look, we got studies that high. You could almost fix I-81 if you just put the studies all around. It's almost enough extra payment when you do it. Okay? Governor Northam said, you know, Western Virginia, they've been asking me for help on I-81 for a very long time. We're not going to fix anything with another study. So he ended up adding to the bill funding sources to do I-81 improvements and other improvements to make our transportation system work better. Some of the money would go to 95 in Eastern Virginia, but the real guts of this was for Western Virginia. And then he gave it back to the legislature. And he said, this is really going to help. Vote on my amendment. All of these legislators who have been writing me for years and saying, what's the Senate going to do? What's the federal government going to do? We got to do something about I-81. When they had a chance to vote for a solution for their own community to help people in rural Western Virginia, they voted no. They voted against their own constituents. They voted against solving problems in their own communities. They voted against what they've been demanding that I do for years. And yet they want you to believe that they're interested in solving community problems. Again, it was like the vote on the special session on guns. When they had the chance, they looked you in the face and they said, well, the other side has got something, but here's what we have for you, nothing. The amendment passed. There is funding now to do I-81 fixes because Democrats in Northern Virginia and Richmond and Hampton Roads cared more about rural voters in Virginia than the legislators that represent rural voters in Virginia. And so I hope when anybody says, well, you know, the Democrats don't care about rural voters, I can prove you that you're wrong on an issue of great importance. Disproportionately, the people who got Medicaid expansion were from rural Virginia. Democrats are willing to stand up and go to bat for people, even if we know they're not going to vote for us ever, where so often Republicans will stand up and oppose the interests of their very own constituents, and that's what this election is about. Yeah, last thing. I said I would talk about their opponents, not by name. Their real opponents, all of these people have the same opponent, apathy. That's their real opponent. That's their real opponent. It's probably both a good and bad thing that we have an election every year in Virginia. Right? It's probably both a good and a bad thing. In the presidential year, we have big turnout. Big turnout. The year after the presidential year is a governor's race. We have big turnout. Not as big as presidential, but big turnout. The year after the governor's race, it's always a federal midterm, senators, House races. We have big turnout in that year. Again, not as big as presidential, but big turnout. But the fourth year of the cycle, no president, no governor, no senator, no statewide, no federal, state legislature, and county constitutional officers, boards of supervisors, school boards. That is always the year where the turnout is the lowest. Democrats do better in the high turnout years, and we do worse in the low turnout years. And that's what each of the opponents of these folks is really counting on. They feel like they're walking into this race with their arm around their buddy, apathy. And they feel like, look, the Dems have a lot of momentum these days, and they're winning a lot of races, and we could lose the legislature. But we are counting on the apathy of the voter in the fourth year of the four-year cycle to bail us out and help us hold on to the legislature. If they win, that's going to be the reason. That will be the reason. And so I just want to make sure that we understand that they have a powerful ally in 2019, the traditional apathy in this cycle. And the only way we win is we got to beat the named opponent, and we also have to beat their friend, voter apathy. 2017, we saw this. How many races were decided by less than 100 votes or less than 200? One down to a coin flip. I can guarantee, I can't tell you which, but I can guarantee on election night, you are going to see Senate and House races and constitutional officers and county supervisor school board races decided by a handful of votes, decided by 10 or 15. I do not want to lose a majority on a coin flip. I don't want to lose a majority because we come 5 votes short or 10 votes short. And all those things that we know we can do, from environmental justice to ERA to common sense gun safety rules, we fall short on because of the apathy factor. So that's why anything you've done to this point for these folks is so appreciated. But the ability of you as individuals, you as county parties, city parties, to organize and call time and canvass and persuade people, you just don't have the opportunity that we have right now where you have both houses just almost, I can almost touch a majority right here. But that's where we are. And you just don't have that opportunity. And so when you have the opportunity, as they used to say back when I grew up, make hay while the sun shines. We got the opportunity, let's go win. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you guys for being such great